Welcome to a review of one of my favorite tarot decks, the Modern Witch Tarot deck by Lisa Sterle. This has been one of my favorite decks over the last 4 years, and I've noticed my tarot students connect to it easily as well. This deck is a great representation of what tarot can be in the 2020s. It has updated the imagery of the classic Rider-Waite-Smith with a sense of ease and familiarity, while avoiding references that are too specific to one generation, and therefore at risk of aging out of relevance. Lisa Sterle has managed to breathe fresh life into tarot while keeping the imagery fun, consistent, and relatable. I'm going to share with you background information on the deck and the creator, as well as my personal favorite card in the tarot deck and the big 3 cards that I think define the style in any deck. We'll evaluate the deck so you can decide if it's the right fit for you, and I will share my personal opinion as a professional tarot reader with the personal practice. This deck was published in 2019 by Sterling Publishing and Liminal 11. Lisa Sterle is the creator, writer, and illustrator. The deck features only women and non-binary people. Some of the cards feature technology like cell phones, laptops, even a Walkman. And the fashion is updated to include things like Converse sneakers and mini skirts. The fashion and tech feel modern, but Sterle maintained the composition of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck because, as she says, it's classic and iconic. There are the standard 78 cards with an additional card duplicating the 10 of Swords. It's labeled with the phrase, "Everything is fine." The 80th card is an encouraging message from Lisa Sterle to the reader. Isn't that sweet? The little white book in this deck is a hardback book of 56 pages with card meanings and 2 tarot spreads to try. It comes with a strong cardboard box that easily fits into most bags for traveling, and it can definitely stand up to being hauled around. Believe me, I've tested it. The lid slides off vertically, and I learned the hard way that when you're removing this deck from a shelf, you want to hold on to the bottom like this to keep the cards from sliding out. Otherwise, you're playing a game of 78 card pickup you did not intend to play. Sterle lives in Columbus, Ohio, and graduated from art school in Ohio. She describes herself as a comic artist and illustrator on a mission to create narratives of women discovering their own magic and strength from within. When asked about her use of the word witch, Sterle says the idea that there's this wealth of power within you, that you just need to trust yourself to tap into it, is an inspiring thought that also definitely ties into feminism for me. Let's talk about the big 3. These are the defining cards in a tarot deck that give us a sense of the flavor. So, beginning with the Death card, this is usually the most dramatic card in the whole deck. It has a big reputation, so an artist tends to flex when they portray this major arcana character. In the Modern Witch, it's simply a remake of the Rider-Waite-Smith version. There is rich meaning in the composition and symbolism of the original card, so I love that Lisa Sterle kept the entire image the same, almost the same. Let's move on to the Star card. This is my personal favorite card in the deck. It represents refreshment and freedom, the ability to show one's spirit in all of its vulnerable and tender glory. And Sterle kept this imagery also very similar to the Rider-Waite-Smith. I love the shape of the woman's body in this card. I think it's a beautiful update, and I'm glad she made that change. Lastly, let's look at the 3 of Cups. I always call this the happy hour card, and it couldn't be more true for this representation. The friends all look like they're at a music festival together, and it's like they're cheering their choice to spend a weekend with friends. It speaks to the importance of investing in relationships, specifically the friendships that you need to build when times are good so you can lean on them when times are bad. Let's look at a highlight card, and I'm going to cheat. There's actually a few highlight cards because I have so many personal favorites from this deck. First and foremost, the 10 of Swords. To me, this is the most relatable card of the whole deck. I was using this deck in 2020 during the presidential election, and that was when I first learned the phrase doom scrolling. The imagery of this card captured the exhaustion and crave for escapism when I felt cognitively overwhelmed and powerless. This card started her whole tarot deck. In her own words, I created my 10 of Swords design back in 2015. It was one of those ideas that just popped into my head, and I was like, dang, this would make a good, powerful image. I was definitely feeling pretty low that day, so it was a way to release that negative feeling. But the image seemed to really resonate with people. And after a while, I made a few more cards. and the direction of the deck naturally started to take shape. I wanted to make something that young women of all kinds could see themselves reflected in and feel understood. So that's really what has driven the process. Honorable mentions for the highlight cards include the Empress. A friend of mine had this image on her wall as an art print, and only during a reading with me one day did she realize it was actually a tarot card. I have to give Lisa Sterl props for creating something so beautiful. It extends beyond the world of tarot. The second honorable mention is the Ten of Cups. This card features a family of 2 women and their 2 children. I've never seen it displayed as a gay relationship before, and I think it's a great update. The card has always represented feeling pride and confidence in the expression of your dream or your vision. And so I think this is a really natural update that feels right for this card. And I love the way people smile when it appears. Is this the deck for you? Let's evaluate it. If you want a racially diverse deck, yes, this deck contains a lot of people from different backgrounds. Is this deck queer friendly? Absolutely. The Ten of Cups is just one of several cards that have really great inclusion. The inclusion of people with disabilities, not so much. If you're looking for representation of differently abled people, this deck isn't the one for you. Body neutrality, yes, there's plenty of that. There are so many shapes and sizes here, I would call this deck body neutral. And gender fluidity in representation, yes. There are a lot of characters that appear non-binary, and femininity is expressed on a very broad spectrum. So how closely does this artwork align with the Rider-Waite Smith? I would give it a 4.5 out of 5. It aligns very closely to the Rider-Waite Smith. How closely do the meanings align with the meanings of the Rider-Waite Smith? Again, 4.5. It's a 1-to-1. How harsh versus gentle? It's a 3. It's going to be honest with you, but it has some fun as well. Does the creator have a level of experience with tarot? Yes. What is the relationship they have with the subject matter of the deck? Well, she studied tarot before making the deck. I think that's a fantastic sign for any tarot deck. My personal opinions. How likely am I to use this deck in personal practice? Well, I use it almost daily. How likely am I to use this deck in professional practice? Honestly, I bring it to every event. Now let's talk about the qualities of the cards themselves. The feel of the cards is different. They're quite hefty, they're thick. The cardstock is pretty strong. They do require a bit of strength to shuffle. I wouldn't mind if the cards were a thinner cardstock, but that's just a personal curiosity based on how I like to shuffle. The colors are bright, fun, cheerful, and energetic. The gloss is gorgeous. It keeps the cards looking clean, but they aren't too slippery. The backs of the cards are busy, which I like. It creates a mandala-like look with the symbols, and all the symbols are relevant to the deck itself. The top mirrors the bottom, so when the cards are upside down, you won't notice before you turn them over. If you'd like to purchase this deck, please visit the link that I'll pin down below. And if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe in order to see more deck reviews like this one. Thank you so much and happy reading!